The opinions expressed are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the official positions of the sponsors, advertisers, or presenters. Advertising does not imply endorsement by the sponsors and presenters.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Lighting Controls Podcast. And boy, do we have an interesting guest for you today. We've brought back an old friend, Michael Colligan, who's going to talk to us some more about darkness restoration. This is a bit of a follow-up on last week's podcast, and we wanted to bring Michael in to start having this conversation, and I'm sure he will come back again because this was a very quick hit. But I do want to take this moment to remind you that this episode is presented by the LCA, the Lighting Controls Association.
It's also financially supported by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, or NAILD. And additionally, if you're listening to this anywhere else other than our website, lightingcontrolspodcast.com, you should check out our website, which has great records of our episodes as well as news in the industry. And you could even purchase some merch if you're interested. Ron and I are sporting some of the merch right now. But here we go. Here's Michael.
All right, well, welcome back to the Lighting Controls Podcast, where we like to talk about lighting controls. Today, we've got a real special guest. You probably have seen him on Get a Grip and Starving for Darkness. But, Michael, do you mind just giving us a breakdown on who you are and what you do?
Yes, and so that is the Restoring Darkness podcast now.
I'm sorry, Restoring
Darkness.
Darkness.
Okay, that's okay. I sell light bulbs. I do podcasts. I enjoy also helping others find their voice on podcasts. One of the great pleasures is to really help other people start podcasts and see them grow. And you guys have just done so well. I mean, you just charted in Mexico. We're 3 months into this and you're already charting around the world. I think that's fantastic. So congratulations back on you guys. And I'm just happy to be involved. How can I help you guys today?
Well, thank you, Michael. So the reason we wanted to pull you in is actually because of your involvement in Restoring Darkness, and the fact that we just had an interesting conversation about code and how the input that people are getting from exterior lighting is that lighting controls in exterior lighting is not working. And so we wanted to bring you in, since this is such a hot topic on your end, to kind of talk about what the pros and cons are, the struggles and the successes of lighting controls for exterior lighting.
So right now there are none. That would be my synopsis. Not that there are none, but there's no technology. Like it seems like in your world, like Bluetooth mesh is really starting to move in and creep in and just take the whole thing over. And other technologies like Internet over Power Line and the fixtures that are running off Cat cable or Cat 6 cable or low voltage cable it's just not penetrating. And this Bluetooth mesh just has so much momentum, and you just see it everywhere you go. It seems like that's going to be the way that rolls out. So from a technical perspective, that's not my expertise. I don't know what the best way technically it would be to do that. And I would leave that to, there's all sorts of great companies out there that could look into that and researchers. But application wise and use case and payback and benefits and a myriad of different things we could try, and then I think you guys have covered on it also the equity piece of lighting in terms of some neighborhoods being overlit and being and not that anyone did that intentionally. It's not like someone came along and said, ha, let's blast these people with light. But these keyhole to keyhole strategies that they put in some poorer neighborhoods, there's no evidence that more outdoor light equals more safety. That's a presupposition. It's a starting place that I think needs to be challenged. Now, does that mean I think there should be no outdoor light? Of course not. But what I'm saying is that the lighting controls piece could be there's so many different use cases for them. And I'm sure a guy like Ron could really start cooking it up if he started thinking about it technically, what you could do with them. But, it just, to me, there's so many things you could study, so many different trends you could monitor, especially if you were starting to get information from the light, like this quantum light that's come out now. So there's so many different ways where outdoor lighting, I think, is way more ready use case wise than indoor lighting.
So you're saying it's fertile ground for lighting controls, but the adoption just isn't there yet.
I don't know if I don't think the industry I don't think there is no adoption because there's nobody pitching it to anybody. You know, for me, we're at this stage where I would love to see, like, PNNL does such great work. You know, I don't know if you've talked to any of those guys yet over there, but whenever I talk to them, I'm always blown away at the resources they have, the thoroughness of their studies, how long they take in the research and what they find, and the humble approach they take to it. And oftentimes they're finding something completely different than what they were looking for. I really think a PNNL, or, you know, there's others out there too, could really do a study to see, what does color temperature do? What does color rendering index do outdoors?
Right.
You know, what if we shield them? How does shielding work? What if we dimmed everything by 50%? Would people even notice? What if we started off at 5,000 K at 9 o'clock and tuned it slowly to midnight down to 2,200 Kelvin? And dimmed it by 60%? Would anyone even notice that? And if we had mechanical arms that sort of closed slowly, so we started off with much more uniformity, but over the course of the light, these mechanical filters moved in, and then we tried something different on the opposite street. And we saw the differences, and we tested it, and we saw, does it lower crime? Does it raise crime? You know, do people feel less safe, more safe? What are the statistics? There's just so many different things that you can do, which are interesting and wonderful. And, you know, I just had a conversation on the Restoring Darkness podcast the other day, and, you know, I think the darkness restoration movement needs to start, and this is interesting terminology, you're going to like this, needs to start competing with climate change. Like looking at climate change as a competitor, not as a enemy, but as somebody that's, you know, taking resources from something that we know we can fix, that we have the technology in place, that will save boatloads of energy, which will make people healthier, make our earth healthier, make our environments healthier, make wildlife healthier, make bats and bugs and everything better. Okay? And we know how to do it right now. But climate change just gets all the action. But you know what? Those climate change folks, and listen, God love them. And I'm 100% darkness guy. I don't want to hear anything about climate change, okay? Because there's nobody that's 100% darkness, so it's going to be me. Okay? And so I respect them. But what I'm here to say is that you guys don't know, you guys can't even stop the CO2 from increasing. Okay? You can't even stop the increase. So why don't we talk about how you can create clean energy first before you suck up all the money away from solutions where we know we can make a great contribution to the world. We know it. And there's so many different reasons for it. It's multifaceted. And and lighting controls is so important. And that's why I just, when I talk to people about this, and I get so passionate, because I really feel like the lighting industry is missing the boat, and the controls industry is completely missing the boat, because, it's so uniform. Street lighting, how many different kinds of street lights are there? They all have that stupid plug from the Jaga right on top. How many of them have that awesome Jaga plug where you could twist in, twist something. I'm talking about Europe here too, right? You could twist in a nice Bluetooth thing right on there. And, let's see what we can do with the existing fixtures. Half of them are dimmable. Maybe some of them are tunable, and, I get so excited about it because it operates on so many different levels, guys.
Yeah. And there's such a wide area there for street lighting, parking garages, right? There's such an opportunity for controls here. And so the guest from our last podcast, Kelly Cunningham, gave us a fantastic catchphrase: lumens for humans, right? So we think about all of this, and you think about all these garages, and all we're doing is lighting cars. And I understand there's people walking to their cars, but why are we not in all of the garages dimming, or, probably not off. Off's probably not necessarily safe, right? But dimming these lights way down and having sensors in place to then bring the lights back up as people walk through and walk to their cars, and have timeouts and have all that. And then same thing about all the freeways. Do we really need that much light on all of the freeways? The cars have headlights, like what are we doing there? Why are we not, especially during off-peak hours, why are we not turning those lights down And we've started to see, at least locally, I've seen a shift in some of them. They're obviously all switching to LED. They're getting away from sodium, but they're starting to shift color temperatures. And I think they're starting to do some testing here locally. And I want to connect with MassDOT on that and see what sort of is going on there, because I'm curious myself. But there's such an opportunity for controls here, and I don't understand why more people don't want to get into this, because you're right, there's so much here for the darkness restoration.
Ooh, I'll tell you that you made so many great points there, and I'm going to address 2 of them. But before I do any of that, you're operating from the same flawed axiomatic presupposition, Ron. And that is that more light equals more safety. That is not proven, okay? And so we actually, what I would say is, rather than say, well, can we dim them? Are these lights actually causing accidents? That's the question to ask. Because at night, when someone drives under one of those bridges that's lit up like a prison yard, and maybe they're 72 years old and they have cataracts or whatever, maybe it takes them 3 seconds after they come out of that side where they can see again, actually. Okay? So we're forgetting about the fact that the lighting industry and the regulations have not considered the human eye, if you can believe that, how the human eye works.
I believe so. There's one tunnel specifically in Boston where you drive in at night and the lights are so bright it is blinding as you enter the tunnel, and it is brutal, absolutely brutal.
So you got to light Mr. Strawman on fire, because Mr. Strawman comes in the room. He says, "Well, you need to prove to me that this is safe." No, other way around, buddy. You've gone from sodium to this new technology now. And has anyone ever considered that the accident that happened at the tunnel was caused by the glare from the light? No, the presupposition is going to be, we don't have enough light. That's why there was an accident. We need more and more and more. And this is that is a total assumption, and it's not proven. The second thing is garages. Why the hell are we leaving garage lights on? Like, give me a break. Europe has been turning off their garage lights with controls for 65 years, okay? With little timer switches. Okay, I don't know if you've ever been in a parking garage in Germany or Austria. You go downstairs, before you enter the garage, you hit a switch. And all the lights in the garage come on, and you got 20 minutes to get out of the garage. Okay? So this idea of leaving lights on in garages is... We need to turn that's Mr. Safety straw man is everywhere. I mean, everything in the name of safety. But you know what? Is it safe to use that much electricity? I could go on and on about that.
Well, I wonder what the societal cause of all of this is, because the people we've spoken to on our podcast have really kind of indicated that it's a communal effort to get to where we're at. It's not just one salesperson. It's an engineer who believes more light. It's an owner who believes more light. It's a designer who believes more light. It's everybody who's invested in this. And if you were to compare like IES guidelines for tunnel lighting, for instance, that tunnel in Boston, I know exactly what you're talking about, Ron. It doesn't follow any of the recommendations that IES has out there for tunnel lighting. So whoever worked on that tunnel didn't follow the lighting industry's guidelines. So there's also a disconnect between communication and education and the people who need to receive those communications and educational resources.
Well, I mean, you're saying, where do we start? Like, that's the question you're asking, right? We ask that question all the time on Restoring Darkness. It's so hard because the lighting industry is not even on board, and that's such a tragedy, right? Like, never mind the controls piece, but you're talking about the single biggest revenue generator we have in the future in the next 20 years, and the lighting industry doesn't want to do it. Like, basically every outdoor light fixture needs to be replaced or adjusted or fixed or repaired or retrofitted or something like that. And the lighting and we need to have more light fixtures because, dark sky, darkness restoration kinds of lights, usually it's more and less wattage and more lights. And the lighting industry doesn't want to have anything to do with this. Like, I've been screaming it, but, and on the Restoring Darkness podcast, but then you have the next piece. So the lighting industry is not on board. Now, you have climate change taking all the advocacy away on environment. And like I said, I'm fighting for darkness restoration. They can keep their climate, but we need more people to believe that light pollution is pollution. It's not a metaphor. Okay, not a metaphor. Okay, it is pollution, and it can be solved with the flick of a switch. We can turn it off right away, and we can solve this problem now. Okay, so you have that advocacy struggling. Then you have regulations, right? So the regulations are problematic for dark skies because what if people start getting sued because of their dark sky system? So there's a lot of challenges on the road towards darkness restoration and preservation. But you know what? I'm up for the journey, man. I can't wait to see what happens with this. I think it's you know, the carbon emissions and all this is such a dismal place to go and look. You know, you get into the carbon emissions and everything just goes up. You know, Ontario will come out with something like, we are going to reduce our carbon emissions to 30% back to 1990 levels by 2050. But in the meantime, we're building 500,000 new homes a year and 500,000 immigrants are coming to Ontario a year. Oh, good luck with that target by 2050, bud. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. That's not even possible to consider after you said the other two things in the sentence, right? But the darkness restoration contributes to the climate change piece by reducing energy consumption massively on our outdoor lighting. Okay, it brings wildlife back. It brings all the bugs and bats and gives them space. We're not invading their space. Okay, it gives us the ability with lighting controls, guys, to test different types of lighting systems and how they work. Okay, it gives us an ability with quantum light to now do different kinds of anonymous tracking, different kinds of how much do we use this street, you know, and we can use this information to make better cities. And I believe that lighting controls in outdoor municipal lighting is at the heart of the smart city, should be at the heart of our climate change strategies. It should be anyone that's talking about climate change. If you're not talking about restoring darkness, and get out of here, man. Like, you're missing the boat. This is the low-hanging fruit of climate change. This is the base case for everything else you're talking about. Is this restoring darkness piece if we get it right? If we get the fixtures right? If we get the controls right? If we get the information and the data we need? This is, and I'm so passionate about it because to me, I see it. I see it right in front of us. Now, that could be 25 years from now. Who knows? But we have to start having these conversations, and lighting controls, Ron and Webster, are the most important part of the whole piece because that's where the fun starts. That's where the information comes from. That's where we can do tests. We can change things. We can really answer the question of what outdoor lights are the safest. You know, which ones are the safest? Not no light, but how do we balance that? You know, I bet we can get 98% dark sky, darkness restoration, and beautiful cities with nice, warm lighting, with high color rendering index that people just love, and no circadian invasion into people's homes. We can do all of this now, today. Can we create clean electricity without coal, gas, and oil? No, can't do that. Can't run our civilization. Not ready yet. Don't know what to do. So let's look where we know what to do. And finally, lighting industry and controls industry, let's all get rich on this. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, no, I mean, controls is such a, right. There's no reason to not to, especially from the municipality. Like, we're already putting sensors in everything, right? Everyone's putting motion sensors in. So if we can get these controls companies, right? I think we've talked about this before. I know we've talked about it on our show, is whoever really comes up with the best user dashboard and the most information, and these companies start to realize that there's a benefit in open source control. So it's not just one manufacturer, one platform. Whoever creates that dashboard first is going to be ahead of the game, right? So if you take all these municipalities and you start putting sensors on all these streetlights, now not only are you able to see when people are around, but you can use those same sensors to track all that vehicle traffic, and you can see what the peak hours are and what the amount of traffic
in
is,
real
and
time.
use that to adjust your lights in real time and get all of that data back. That's where it starts.
Yeah, the smart city is smart street lighting. That's the base foundation of it. Yep.
So I mean, we're almost out of time. We're just doing a short episode today because we could only fit it into this small packet. But I mean, ultimately, what we're discussing here is more of a systemic change of a perspective of people when it comes to outdoor lighting. You know, a lot of people, when it comes to outdoor lighting, they just think of it as a static blast of light to be able to fill the space when the sun's down. But ultimately, we can use lighting controls to achieve greater than just that, and improve climate change, data collection. But at the same time, again, we were getting feedback from this person we were interviewing last time that people are complaining about lighting controls when it comes to outdoor lighting. She didn't have a whole lot to point to because, she's more of a data collector than she is a data analyzer. But at the same time, when it comes to adoption, I think there's hesitancy also just because of the technology itself. There's a lot of pitfalls when it comes to introducing new tech to our industry. And as a result, I think it's, again, communication education that needs to be improved so that people can accept what it is that we're proposing. I think you're right. There's a lot of money to be made from pursuing this. But at the same time, there's a lot of sales on one side and a lot of feedback on the other side, and we're not meeting in the middle for some reason. So it would be
That's
great.
because nobody's talking about it. Nobody's doing anything. Like right now, this is the time. This is the moment. This is the moment for a PNNL to step in. That's what they're there for, right? That's what they do, right? And that's why I'm encouraging them. You guys are the best that I've seen. Like, you get $5 million, whatever it is, and whatever you need to do it, and go somewhere in the United States and lay out some controls and find out what people think, and get your really smart people there to work on it and tune it and make it better, and then so yes, there's work to do, absolutely, on the lighting control side. On the darkness restoration with light fixture side, we know how to do that. That's not there's no work to do there. We know what to do. So
well, great. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate you coming in and chatting with us about this.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Well, that was a great episode. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and thank Michael, as always, for joining us on this episode. I'm sure we'll have him back when we can sort of get a full episode in, but a little quick 20-minute hit for you guys. So once again, just want to thank the LCA, the Lighting Controls Association, for this episode.
And also, we want to thank NAILD for financially supporting this episode, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. And additionally, just a reminder, check out our website, lightingcontrolspodcast.com, where you can check out some news, past episodes, and even buy some cool merch that Ron and I are wearing, or even this nice cup back here. Thanks so much, and thank you, Michael.